Okay, on today's show, this is a Danny Sun syndicated show going across multiple platforms. We have my next special guest. We have straight from the doctor's kitchen, Dr. Rupy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Great stuff, and it's great that you're joining me today. Really do appreciate it. We'll be discussing, speaking about healthy eating, diet regimes, and fads as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the time of year where people are kind of gearing up for their New Year's
Yeah.
resolutions.
Okay, so I'm going to start from the top as I always do. Now people are talking about the dreaded lockdown weight. Will we be seeing an increase in New Year's resolutions in dieting for 2021?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to be thinking about the weight that's been gained over the lockdown period. I think 1 in 4 Britons have told us that they put on average 7 pounds of weight during this year. And, you know, you might think it's a bit odd for me to suggest that people don't go on a diet in January, considering the weight gain that's been had over the year. And, you know, a number of people are already obese, and a third of adults are pre-diabetic. But dieting is not the way to go, simply because they don't work. So my simple ask is actually to consider small, sustainable changes in January that could lead to health benefits, rather than yet another fad diet that we know are not sustainable.
Okay, and next question. Can thinking you need to diet when you don't really need to diet be a psychological thing? Could it be a knock-on effect?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people's response to dieting or most people's response to weight gain is to immediately go on a diet, because that's what we've been led to believe is the antidote to weight gain. But we know across the board diets don't work. Most people fall off them within a couple of weeks. Over 50% of the people that were surveyed
Yep.
by Second Nature, who commissioned the research, know that it's not sustainable. And a third of people don't feel great on it either from a mental health point of
Yep.
view. So it's definitely not something that I would recommend. And instead, there are a number of small sustainable changes that we can stack upon each other. So that would lead to a healthier
Okay.
lifestyle overall.
And the poll was commissioned by Second Nature. You mentioned that on average people may have put over £7 on lockdown. Additional research published today reveals we're tired of hearing about diets, feeling pressurised to start new ones. 1 in 3 says it harms people's mental health and sets a bad example to younger generations.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, the fact that a lot of people recognize that they don't feel well on diets, and also it sets a bad example, just goes really to teach us as adults that we shouldn't be encouraging diets, and we shouldn't be encouraging an unhealthy perspective on weight either. There's nothing wrong with losing weight, and there's nothing wrong with recognizing the need to lose weight, but it needs to be sustainable. So instead of choosing another diet, there are a number of different things you can do, and we've compiled a list of different sustainable actions at stopfaddiets.com, where you can engage in a healthy habit that's sustainable for the long term. And it can be as simple as just slowing down when you're eating,
Yeah.
taking a few breaths before you start eating, and then making sure you chew your food properly so you recognize the satiety signals during food so you don't overeat. It's
Yeah.
something as simple as that.
Okay, and what is a fad diet? I have listed a few, so correct me if I'm wrong here. I've got a Mediterranean diet, a vegan diet, even an intermittent fasting diet, and a keto diet. Which ones of those should you be careful of?
I think the one that sticks out for me is the ketogenic diet. There are some therapeutic uses of these certain diets. So ketogenic diet is one where you increase your fat content to very high amounts such that your body doesn't use sugar as fuel, it uses fats as fuel. That's useful from the perspective of refractory epileptic pediatric patients. That is the only time where I would recommend the ketogenic diet under specialist review. The majority of people using that as a weight loss regime, I do not recommend that at all, because it's very, very restrictive. It is very hard to maintain. And if you get the balance wrong, then you're essentially eating a standard American diet, which is high fat, high sugar, which is, we know, universally bad for pretty much every condition you can imagine: type 2 diabetes, sugar control, obesity, high blood pressure, cancer. I mean, you really don't want to be going down that route. A Mediterranean way of eating is not so much a diet, it's actually a lifestyle. So it's walking, it's having a meal with friends and family where you actually engage in social interactions. It's lots of fruits and vegetables and quality fats. A Mediterranean way of eating and the lifestyle, I think, is certainly what I would recommend
Yeah.
going forward. And there are a number of ways in which you can achieve that.
Okay, and fad diets are out too. 1 in 5 say they'll never go on one again, according to this research commissioned. And I'm going to add to that one. The commissioned by Second Nature found people typically considered going on a diet 3 times a year. That amounts to 189 times in a lifetime, approx.
Yeah. So, I mean, the number of times people decide to go on a diet in a year, being 3, is pretty incredible if you think about it. Which, like you said, leads to around 180 diet episodes in a lifetime, which just demonstrates the lack of sustainability of all these different types of eating regimes. So instead of choosing yet another diet or the latest diet, what I reckon people should do is stack on healthy habits that are maintainable for life. So instead of it being 180 episodes of dieting, it's sustainable changes that they can actually maintain and stack on top of each other, which leads to much better outcomes than dieting in itself. So really, you want to make that commitment to yourself, a small ask to yourself, and something that you feel is sustainable on a daily basis.
Okay, and you mentioned commitment, which also kind of means willpower as well. I suppose you need quite a bit of willpower to diet. And could people get cold turkey when they miss their favourite foods?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about restriction. When you're cutting out foods that you absolutely love, like for me, it's peanut butter. If I was told I couldn't have peanut butter, I'd be pretty upset about it. Whereas actually, what we need to teach ourselves is moderation. It's indulgence where necessary, where appropriate, instead of something that's quite habitual. So if someone's habitually eating dairy milk chocolate every single day, other chocolates are available. That's not a healthy lifestyle. But if you choose to have it once a week and you really slow it down, you enjoy it, that's a really healthy way of enjoying what can be someone's favorite treat. So that's the perspective I want people to have, rather than, well, I can't have that at all, ever, because it's no wonder people fall off that.
All right. And why do certain food make you exhausted, like run down all the time? Is there a reason behind that? Why certain foods can make you feel burnt out sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting sort of concept about how certain foods can lead to yo-yoing of your blood sugar levels. There are different categories. So caffeine is a big one, where you can have a caffeine high, but then a caffeine drop. And most people then sort of medicate that by having yet another cup of coffee or another caffeinated drink. So caffeine definitely can cause that roller coaster of fatigue. The other thing are high sugar items. So you have a very high blood spike, a spike in blood sugar, but then your insulin that's released from your pancreas kicks in, and that causes it to overshoot. And that's where your blood sugar goes very low, and then you get cravings again. So again, the roller coaster of emotions, or the roller coaster of blood sugar, can explain why certain foods, like high sugar foods, processed foods, sweets, candies, that kind of stuff, can cause these sort of fatigue symptoms
Yeah.
after consuming them.
Would you say it can be a vicious circle sometimes? You have a snack and then it might lead to another snack and you're kind of going round in circles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is what a lot of people get trapped into in terms of eating. And that's why, instead of removing those sorts of foods in their entirety, you want to make sure that you're using them appropriately. So, chocolate can have that impact on people's sugar levels. And if you're having that on a daily basis, then it's no wonder you're feeling this sort of cycle of fatigue. But if you're going to have it in moderation on certain days of the week, then that's different. And that's a much healthier perspective to take on it, a much healthier relationship with that particular food as well.
Right. And does a good diet, or balance, as you say, moderation, have advantages for your digestive system, say?
Absolutely, yeah. So high sugar items, processed foods, These are all things that we know are uniformly bad for our digestive system. One of the things that's uniquely incredible for your microbes that live largely in your large intestine are high fiber diets, lots of plants and fruits and vegetables, and variety. Those are that diverse sort of number of different whole foods that you can consume very cheaply as well. These are things that are uniformly fantastic for your microbes, and that has a knock-on effect on overall health, because your digestive system containing all those different microbes are responsible for creating neurotransmitters, balancing sugar, modulating inflammation. These are all functions of your digestive tract, and that's why having a diverse diet is very important for that.
And I wanted to ask, how can people, some people, this includes myself, can eat lots, big meals, and still not put on weight? Could that be down to a good metabolism or just genetics?
Well, say that again. Sorry,
Yeah,
I missed that.
How come some people, this includes myself, can have like big meals and still not put on weight? Could it be down to a good metabolism or genetics?
So it's an interplay of different things. So certain people have genetic makeups that actually allow them to consume a lot more. The second thing, and I think is more interesting and probably has more legs, is the functioning of your microbiota. So a few different microbes, those are bacteria, that have been isolated in the gut, have demonstrated that they're able to consume more in terms of the energy content while still maintaining a healthy weight. If you're one of the lucky ones, that's great, but it still doesn't mean that you have a free run and everything, because you can still be aesthetically slim, but have fat that's stored around your organs, which is the most dangerous type of fat. We have a colloquial way of saying it of tofu in the medical word. So it's thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. And that fat, or visceral fat that we call it, around organs like your liver and pancreas is uniformly very, very bad. The people that are most at risk of that kind of what we call phenotype or that physical body type are those from Southeast Asian origin, South Asian origin, and Black origin as well. Africa, Caribbean. So that's definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah, it's fascinating, that is. And just running off the interview now, in general, what are your top tips this festive season, this Christmas, to our listeners, and the new year as well? Any top tips you'd like to give them?
Yeah, so I mean, the first tip is to enjoy this period. We don't need any more restrictions, so I think people should be enjoying the festivity period, whatever that looks like. The second thing from a health point of view is, concentrate on sides. So really get inventive with sides, carrots, sprouts, chestnuts, all the different types of greens you can have on the side of your turkey or plant-based alternative. And the other thing is eating slow. So making sure you're taking a few breaths before eating. You're managing to chew your food properly rather than diving straight into the Christmas dinner. And committing to a small change in January. So if you go to stopfatdiets.com, you'll find a list of commitments that you can make to yourself, very small changes that are sustainable for life. So and a bit more about sustainable weight loss too.
I always say these small stepping stones form the kind of bridge to that big picture of kind of addressing a problem, bit by bit.
Definitely, absolutely.
So, Dr. Rupy, I just want to say thank you for joining me today, talking about healthy eating and living, more about diet fads as well. It's been great having you on.
No problem. My pleasure, Danny.
Thank you.